feel like sometimes when we create our budgets, we feel like if we deviate from it at all, then you're going to get in trouble. Like somebody's going to come and something's going to happen to you. It's not that. It's simply a plan for your money in a specific time period. And if you've lived at all on earth any particular amount of days, no set number, and have created any sort of plan, you also know that plans change. Plans go wrong. Things happen, and sometimes we have to make adjustments to the plan. And sometimes we need a plan A, we need a plan B, we need a plan C, right? Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Grow Beyond the Budget. I'm excited to get into this topic today. I probably say that about every single topic, which I am. But this one is going to continue to help us build the foundation for everything that we're going to continue to talk about in the upcoming episodes, and to really help you start to see your money in a completely different light. And while I know that this podcast is called Grow Beyond the Budget, which means that our conversations are not limited to your budget, today's conversation is very much about budgeting, and there will be conversations about budgeting because for a lot of people, that is your means to an end. That is how you can make your money do what you needed to do and to support the life that you want to live. So I remember I used to think that budgeting meant that I was going to have to sacrifice everything that I loved, that I was going to have to deprive myself, that I was never going to be able to have fun with my money, that all I was going to be able to do was pay bills and die. That's how I felt about budget. When people said the word budget, like it was a repulsive word to me. I had a friend who said that when, like, anytime I would say the word budget, like she would do a heebie-jeebie dance. Like she would just, like her body would have a visceral reaction to the word budgeting. I remember another friend telling me that the word budget to her felt like struggle. Okay. And these are thoughts, these are assumptions, these are beliefs that we have created around the word budget that have stopped us from doing what we need to do with our money and managing our money intentionally, mindfully, effectively in order for us to get to the life that we want to live. And so today's conversation I am really excited about because we're going to talk about what budgeting actually is. We're going to talk about some of the common myths and things that we have learned to believe around budgeting. I'm going to give you some of the strategies and different ways that you can manage and use a budget so that you can start using your money intentionally. And then lastly, I'm going to give you some tips that you can use that will help you start to create a different experience and mindset when it comes to your budget. So I'm really excited for this conversation. So let's get right into it. Let's start really quickly with what budgeting is. So a budget is simply a plan for your money in a specific time period. It is a plan, y'all. It is not a Bible. It is not carved in stone. It is not a law. I feel like sometimes when we create our budgets, we feel like if we deviate from it at all, then you're going to get in trouble. Like somebody's going to come and something's going to happen to you. It's not that. It's simply a plan for your money in a specific time period. And if you've lived at all on earth any particular amount of days, no set number, and have created any sort of plan, you also know that plans change. Plans go wrong. Things happen, and sometimes we have to make adjustments to the plan. And sometimes we need a plan A, we need a plan B, we need a plan C, right? And so it's just a plan. So we'll set the stage by saying that your budget is really just a plan for your money in a specific time period. Now, we'll get into that a little bit later, like honoring, and I think that's a different podcast episode. We'll talk about like honoring the seasons that you're in and learning how to prioritize your finances. But in our first solo episode, I went through the Grow framework. If you didn't hear that episode, I want you to go back and listen to that episode because, again, that is once you understand your goals, which is what the G stands for, you understand your goals and your vision for your life, where you want to go, you start to recognize, which is what the R stands for, where you are right now. The O is the outline phase, which is where you create the plan and the strategies. That's where your budget comes in. Your budget is going to be the means to an end, that bridge that connects you from where you are right now to where you want to be. Your budget is going to help you redirect and use your money intentionally and mindfully aligned with how to get to where you want to be in your goals and your vision. So it's really important that we use a budget, and I'm going to give you some different types, but use your budget in a way that aligns to the life that you want to live. And I'm going to also show you some different ways that you can start using your budget so that you don't feel like you're going to have to sacrifice everything along the way. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, I hope you understand what a budget is, y'all. It's simply a plan. It's a plan. It's a plan. Plans can change, things can happen, and it's okay. So last week, like I said, we went through the growth framework. So if you understand your goals, right? When we were talking about goals, we weren't just talking about improving my credit or buying a house. I want you to think the long-term big vision goals. Then I also asked you about your values. What are some of the things that are important to you? Because once you start to understand your values, you can also start to understand what you need to protect and save in your budget so that you don't feel like you're sacrificing everything that you love. All right, so let's get into some of the myths when it comes to your budget. When it comes to your budget, one of the biggest myths is that budgets are restricting. And that is not inherently true, or that you can't use your money to do anything fun with. You can't use your money for fun stuff. And that is not inherently true. Now, while it is going to be important for you to recognize in the particular seasons, there might be some seasons that are a little bit more lean and that you can't live out the full expression of your values. You can't go out and shop the way that you always have. We expect sometimes for life to be on a linear trajectory where it's always going up, but we know that life has ebbs and flows, right? And so when you're using your budget, you can see what season am I in? Where do I need to put on the gas when it comes to saving money or paying off debt? Where can I slow up and ease up or redirect money to having more fun in my life, like going on vacations and traveling and having more experiences? But when you have a budget, you can start to see that. When you understand your goals, your values, your vision, it's also easier for you to kind of distinguish what season of life you are in and where you need to start to redirect your money. So budgeting does not mean that you can't have any fun ever. It means that we get to be intentional and mindful and proactive about how we are using our money so that we can do those things. So, for example, one of my values is family. I talked about this in the last episode, and I love hosting things. My birthday is coming up on September 26th, so it'll be about a week when this episode airs. And one of the things that I'm doing to celebrate my birthday is having a game night. So I am planning for that because I know that this is something important to me. I want my friends and my family to be together. That is something that I can plan for in advance that is not going to interrupt with any of the other things that I have going on because I was intentional and mindful about how I'm using my money. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So it's not saying that you can't use your money for fun things ever. It's just how do we do it mindfully and intentionally? When we were paying off debt, we started with this whole rice and beans, no nonsense, no fun stuff ever type of budgeting. And I tell you right now, like that quickly got really old. It got tiring and it did not work. And so I try my best to make sure that we understand your values so that we can protect some of those things inside of your budget. So you don't have to feel that deprivation that I felt that a lot of people feel that makes you resent budgeting. So, in the season where we were paying off debt, it was a lot more lean. We were doing fun stuff in the house. But now, like that we're out of debt, we could do more fun stuff outside the house. We can travel. We can do different things. Like we can have different experiences because we were honoring the season that we were in. So you might not, again, and depending on the season, might not be able to live out the full expression of fun or whatever it is, like your value in that particular moment. But there's definitely ways that you can protect it in this season. Okay. So one of the biggest myths, and I hope I just debunked it, is that you cannot have fun. That is not true. I want you to understand what's important to you, prioritize those things, find little pockets of fun and ways to incorporate fun and the things that you love in your budget in this particular season all the time, no matter what. Okay, so again, it might look different based off of where you are in your budget and in your journey. But I want you to make sure that that is always a priority to do something that you love with your money in some capacity. Okay. Now, I'm telling you this to use discretion, okay? And trusting that you will use discernment to make sure that you're doing that. So you're not creating more problems and headaches for yourself later, and that you are not letting anything snowball or postponing your goals because you want to just kind of ball out right now, okay? Honor the season that you're in and modify your budget accordingly. So another myth when it comes to budgeting is that it's set in stone. And we kind of just already kind of talked about that, but your budget is very, very flexible. Again, if you live life, you know that things will happen, things will change. When I set my grocery budget, there are a lot of times where I go over what I said I was going to spend when it comes to groceries, especially in the past couple of years because of inflation. Now, there's ways to be mindful about how you're using your money when it comes to those different things, but it's understanding that there's going to be some ebb and flows. Things are not going to be set in stone. If you have children, you know your children are probably going to always need something. There are things that are going to come up and things that are going to happen in life, and it's okay. We just need to make sure that we're making adjustments in your budget so that you can make sure that you are staying on track, staying the course, and still giving yourself some room to navigate just the different changes and things that happen in life. Another one of the myths when it comes to budgeting is that you need more money in order to start budgeting. And that can be further from the truth. Regardless of how much money you make, it is important to make sure that you have some sort of budget or some sort of system to manage your money in place. So when you're thinking about this, I want you to think about the fact that if you don't have a lot of money, we need to be even more strategic and intentional with the money that we have. When you don't have a lot of money coming in, or when you feel like you don't have enough money to budget, that is when you need to be as intentional as possible so that you can avoid that robbing Peter to pay Paul, those cycles. You have to be as intentional and mindful with your money so that you can make sure that you are using your money to do all of the things that you need to do. Now, I am always going to advocate for you to make more money so that way you can create more gap in between your income and the money that is planned to go out. But it is not a requirement for you to make more money in order for you to start budgeting. Okay. So you can start with the budget today, right now, and start managing your money that way. All right. So now that we talked about some of the common myths when it comes to your budget, one of the things that I want to offer you as like a mindset shift and a reframe when it comes to budgeting is thinking about budgeting as your bestie and not the bad guy. When you think about your best friend, I want you to think about a person who loves you, like loves you down, who's got your back, somebody who is no nonsense, that will tell it like it is, who will give you the hard truths. When you need to leave that man, she will tell you. When you need to leave that job, she will tell you. When somebody is playing you, she will call you out on it. When you are like not enforcing your boundaries, she will call you out. Think about that person, right? But that person will also oftentimes be one of your biggest cheerleaders. She is celebrating your wins. She is with you through and through. She is champion you. She might be a bigger cheerleader because sometimes we could be our own worst critics. Sometimes she will shout you out and champion you better than you can champion yourself. She is there for you through and through. I want to offer you this gift of thinking of your budget as your best friend. Use your budget as that voice of reason, as that no nonsense person that will tell it like it is, but who's got your best interest at heart. Because your budget is, again, a means to an end. Your budget is helping you get to where you want to be in your vision. She's got your back, but she will also say, girl, okay, we're looking at this and we got more money coming in than we have going out. What do we need to do to fix this? Or, girl, we did a lot of Uber Eats and DoorDash last month. What can we do to start adjusting this so that we can use some of that money to redirect it to somewhere else? She'll be like, yes, girl. Okay, I see you lowering expenses. Now we have more wiggle room. Okay, like your budget can do all of those things for you. And so I want us to really start thinking about it in a completely different lens. It is not out here to hurt you. It's not going to throw you in jail. Okay. There are times when you have to have, hard conversations with friends, and your budget might be the reality check that you need, but it is not going to inherently hurt you. It is here to help you. And so I want to offer that to you, to really just think about your budget in a completely different lens. It is your best friend, that day one person that's got your back, your rider. That is what your budget is. And it is here to help you get to where you want to be in your vision. Another mindset shift that I want us to make when it comes to our budgeting is I want us to really start thinking about gratitude when it comes to how we use and manage our money. We talk about gratitude in our culture and in society a lot, just being grateful for different things. But when it comes to your money, I believe that one of the best ways that you can show gratitude to your money and to God for allowing you the resources and access to this money is being intentional and mindful with it. When we talk about gratitude, it's not just thankful for the money that is coming in, but I am thankful for the money that is going out. I am thankful for the services. I am thankful and grateful for the bills that I have, the money to be able to pay them. I am grateful for access for my kids to be able to have sports and activities. And so it's really just shifting the way that you are thinking about the money that is coming in and the money that is going out. It's showing your money a level of respect and gratitude when you are intentional about how you use it by creating a budget to plan for it. We have to really start getting into this space where we are showing respect for our money by using a budget. And so I hope that that's helpful too, because I believe that if God had a love language, gratitude is one of them. When we show God gratitude for all of the things that we have in our lives, for all of the things that we are able to do, for waking up this morning, right? We start to receive the energy, the blessings, the abundance, and the love from God for being grateful. So that is one of the biggest mindset shifts that I made when it comes to my money, being grateful for the money that is coming in. So when you get paid, take a second and say thank you. When you look at your bank account, say thank you. There's money there, right? And the money that is going out, I am also grateful for. Like, y'all, this is something I'm still working on my husband with, okay? He is not completely on board with the being grateful for the money because every time, or there's still times when we get bills and he's like, I don't want to pay this. And that's a natural, I think, a natural human reaction, and it really takes some reprogramming for us to get there. But when you are able to really start to be grateful for the money coming in just as much as you are grateful for the money that is going out, it really opens up a new level of understanding, a new level of abundance for money to really just start to flow to you in a completely different way. I hear people talk about like being a money magnet, and I truly, truly, truly believe that that was a huge shift in my life for money just being able to come to us when we started to have this level of intentionality, this gratitude for our money by being intentional and using a budget. That is when we started getting checks out of nowhere. Bonuses started coming in. Work started, all of these different things started coming from seemingly nowhere because we were being really mindful and intentional with our money. And so being grateful for your money is a really, really good thing to practice. Again, every time you open up your bank account, every time you open up your budget, instead of having that natural reaction of like dread, overwhelm, anxiety, let's shift that to gratitude. Let's shift that to positivity about, okay, again, I'm grateful to be able to pay my bills. I am grateful to be able to eat today. I am grateful for being able to put my kids in sports and activities. I am grateful for emergencies, y'all. That was a big one when I was able to be grateful for emergencies and grateful for the resources and access to the money that can cover these things instead of letting stress and overwhelm be my default. I chose to be in a place of gratitude and peace as a complete game changer when it comes to how we're looking at our money. And if you can get to that place when it comes to your budget, it will also be a game changer for you. All right, so now that we got into what a budget is, okay, we talked about some of the common myths when it comes to budgets. We talked about some mindset shifts that you can start to make when it comes to your budget. We're thinking of budgets as our best friend, somebody that's got our best interest at heart. We've talked about being grateful for our money and showing gratitude and how that can start to shift your energy and your frequency and the abundance that is coming to you. Now let's talk about some of the types of budgets that are out there. I'm going to start with some of the common ones. One is the 50-30-20 budget. And so in that budget, which is I want to call it old school, but it's pretty old school. 50% of your income will go to your necessities. And so that's rent, that or mortgage, that is your car notes, that is food, that is all of the things that you need to live. That is a 50% of your income. Then we have 30% that is going to your wants. That is hair, nails, um, any luxuries that you have, like, for kids. I always think about my kids, y'all. Kids' activities, that's going on date nights and having fun and all of these different things that we like to do. And then 20% of that money is going to be saved. And I'm going to get into in another episode the difference between saving and investing. But that can be either money that you are putting in like a savings account, whether that's your emergency fund, a sinking fund, which is like money that you use, that you save with the intention to spend, or money that you are investing. The problem with this sort of budget now is because of inflation, because of the average income, it's really hard for most people to get 50% of their income in that 50% of their income in that one category. So typically what happens, if you're looking at these percentages, you'll notice that the numbers are way off, and that could be really challenging and discouraging for people. So the 50-30-20 budget is great for people who have a really high income, who have lower expenses, and that can make their numbers fit into those different buckets. Now you can adjust the different percentages to some degree. So I think there's like the 60, 20, there's different variations of it. But when you're getting, especially when you're starting out, when you're getting bogged down with the different types of percentages, it can be a little overwhelming. So the next type of budget, which is another common one, is a zero-based budget. And I'm going to spend a couple minutes talking about this one because this one is my absolute favorite. I absolutely recommend this for anyone. And it's super simple, and it is great for people who are just getting started out, because instead of trying to figure out how to make your numbers fit into these little percentages, all we're trying to do is zero out our money. And so with a zero-based budget, what you want to do is look at the money that is coming in and have a job or an assignment for every single dollar until you get to zero, until every dollar is counted for, until every single dollar has a job. And the reason why this is super effective and works is because whether you have a lot of money or little money, you can make sure that you're being intentional with the money that you have. Zero-based budgets are amazing because it'll tell you, okay, I am spending this much money on housing, and then once you run out of money, then that's it. When you have a surplus of money, right? Let's say you're able to pay for all of your necessities, you pay for all of the things that you want, and you still have some surplus. You can assign money to go to your savings. You could assign money to go to debt. You could assign money to be a cushion, or have a miscellaneous line in your budget. So that way, if things start to happen, you can kind of move money around within the month without having to tap into your savings account or having to tap into your emergency fund just to make some wiggle room. So I love, love, love this sort of budget. Now there's a couple, I'm going to name two apps below that I love for zero-based budgeting. The app that I currently use and I am a brand partner for is Monarch. I've been using that app for the past couple of years, and it is absolutely amazing. Not only is it user-friendly, but it's a super robust financial dashboard that will show you exactly what is happening with your money. I love the overviews that it has and the recaps from the previous months, and the things that it can show you can give you like an idea of what your next month will be like based off of the previous months. It'll show you when you have recurring bills. So if there's subscriptions that you need to cancel, it'll take those out and it'll automatically plug those things in once you start using the app for a while, because it's tracking your spending patterns and your spending habits. Again, absolutely love that budget or that budgeting tool. And so I'll link that below. I am a brand partner for it, so I do have an affiliate link. And then the other one that is a free app is Mint. Which is owned by Intuit, which is the owner of QuickBooks. A super simple, they keep changing their interface, so it's gotten a lot more user-friendly over the years, but a super simple way to track and manage your money. Also, these apps will allow you to put in your income, and then based off of that, you can zero out your spending for the month. And so those are two of the apps that I use if you want to do a zero-based budget. Now, the next one is like, it's called the no budget. Which is basically you have everything on auto pay and nothing. You don't have to think about anything. You just put everything on auto pay and you just are living your life. And that is a great way to live. Again, if you have more income than you have expenses, if you don't have any super like specific goals that you're working towards, like paying off debt, saving money, and things like that, you are really just living your life with no budget. You can automate your savings transfer, so you can make sure that even if you don't have a super aggressive savings goal, you're still putting money into your savings by putting an automatic transfer. You can make sure that, or you can also change it to where you're adding more money to your debt payments, so you can still be tackling your debt. But that is a no budget where you're not thinking about it. You have the money to just make sure all your bills are paid, and then you just live your best life afterwards. All right. And then another common like way of budgeting is the cash envelope system. And so with that, you are keeping all of your money in cash with the exception of like things like mortgage and any other bills that you cannot pay in cash. You're keeping cash and then you're using envelopes to divvy out the money. So you have a set amount of money for groceries, you have a set amount of money for gas, a set amount of money for entertainment, different things and different expenses that you would have within the month. And you are putting that money, once that money is gone, then it's gone, right? And so you're using cash. Now, the philosophy behind that is that there were some studies that showed that when you have some sort of cash exchange, giving somebody physical cash would cause you to be a little less hesitant with using your money. Now, for some people, that is true. They are a little bit less or more resistant or hesitant to use money when they have cash. However, for me, what I realized that was not the case, because I saw a lot of people growing up use cash without any sort of like system or budget. My grandmas were famous for having Tootsie Roll jars of cash. My grandma on the other side always had that classic like bank envelope with lots of money in there, and I just saw them spending it. I didn't see them using any sort of budget. So for me, that didn't trigger me to say, okay, let me think twice before I cash this 100 or before I use this 100. No, that was not a thing for me. I could spend cash like El Chapo, like Griselda Blanco, like a drug dealer. So that did not stop me from using cash. And so while I used that system, I tried that system out. It wasn't super helpful for me. So I want you to also just be mindful of what would be the most effective way for you to manage your money based off of your experiences, the things and the habits and things that you use and the things that you have seen in life, because that will also give you a really great idea of which type of budget to use. Again, I am a huge advocate and fan of the zero-based budget. If you are just getting started, it is a super simple way to start. And again, all you do, list your income. This is the money that I have coming in. List your expenses. This is the money that I have going out. Make sure those numbers match, and then assign all of your money until you have gotten to zero. It's really that simple. And again, it's great for anybody who, whether you're just starting out or if you have, whether you have lots of money to budget or if you have a little bit. So it's good for anybody. Zero-based budgets, highly recommend, 5 stars. All right. And so now let's talk about some things that you can start to do to make budgeting more enjoyable and to make sure that we're not avoiding it. We, again, are still shifting that mindset when it comes to your budget. And we talked about this a little bit earlier about your budget being your bestie. One of the things that you can do is give your budget a name. Give your budget a different name if the word budget does not sit right in your spirit. If the word budget makes you do a heebie-jeebie dance, then you can change the name to something else. Call your budget a spending plan, a conscious spending plan. You can call your budget, I heard someone call it a wealth management tool before. You could call it an actual name. So if your budget is your bestie, you could call it the Judy. You could call it the Brenda. You could call it whatever you want. Those are old lady names. I know. Those are the first names that came to mind. But you could call your budget whatever you want to call it. Call it something that will empower you and inspire and encourage you to use it so that you can manage your money. And again, align your finances to the things that you want in your vision. Now, the reason why I'm big on language here, and you'll hear me make a lot of language tweaks, but one of the reasons why you will not hear me change the word budget is because I really want us to normalize that particular word. If we continue to change the language, if I continue to change the language, I want us to destigmatize it, because that is the language that other people use in the finance industry. They're not going to be asking you about your wealth management tool or your Brenda or whatever else you choose to call it. You can have, that could be the household name, right? That could be the nickname for the house. But I do want you to still get used to the word budget, because when you're going to your financial advisors, your CPAs, your financial planners, when you are having conversations about wealth and buying assets and things like, people are going to ask you, what's your budget? Okay. And so we're going to have to get used to that word. So I am not going to stop using it in my business on this platform, but I do want you to, if that is a barrier for you to start using it within your home, then call it something else. Okay. And I'm going to continue to use it as I help you to reprogram and think about it completely differently. But again, if that is stopping you, give it a different name. Another thing that you can do with your budget to make it more enjoyable and to make you want to do it is create an experience. So a lot of us have had negative experiences when it comes to budgeting, which is why we didn't want to do it. So create a positive experience. So do not try to do your budget on a Monday night after you just had a long day at work, your kids had practices, and now you're trying to sit down and look at a budget. Probably not the best time to do it. Okay. So maybe it is on a day that is lighter for you. So you could do a Wednesday wind down. You can do, I like my husband and I do Sunday mornings. We have coffee, we check our budgets, we go over our calendars for the year or for the month or for the week. Geez, oh man, for the week. And we set it up that way. So you can create a different experience. If it is helpful for you to go to, your favorite coffee shop, if it's helpful for you to go outside in nature, create a completely different experience. Go sit in front of the $1 million homes that you have been eyeing. Go sit in the neighborhood that you want to live in when you're doing your budget, so that you can be reminded of why you're doing the things. But I want you to create some sort of experience that's going to help you to see how budgeting is going to help you, right? So that you can get over those mindset humps of, budgets being negative and this like dreadful thing, by creating some sort of experience. Put on some music, get a candle, do some aromatherapy. And then also another thing that you can do when you are creating your budget is find some ways to treat yourself. Okay. And when I say treat yourself, I'm not always talking about necessarily going out and buying yourself something, but treat yourself to something, whether that is, 5 minutes alone, or you can give yourself, again, like there could be an actual treat. Okay. If I finish my budget, I'm going to go to Starbucks, or if I finish my budget, I get to do something or put some money towards something that you want to buy. Okay, just from sticking to your budget, but create incentives for yourself to actually get this thing done. Another thing that you can do is to make sure, kind of piggybacking off of what I just said, is that you are including and incorporating fun into your budget. If you're looking at your budget and all you see is money going towards your bills, if you're looking at your budget and all you see are things that aren't for you or aren't aligned with your values or there's no fun in it, then why are you going to do it? So it's going to make it harder for you to do it. So making sure that, again, on some level, you are creating some ways to use your money towards something that you love, something that you value, something that you think is fun. Again, honor the season that you're in. So it might be a smaller amount this particular season. You can maybe splurge in others. But finding some ways to use your money for fun is going to be another way to make sure that you stick to it. And then lastly is have it on your calendar. Schedule it. Okay. We are at the big grown age where if it's not on our calendars, it doesn't exist. So if we want to make sure that we are on track and stay the course when it comes to budgeting, we have to make sure that we are intentional about making time for it. Okay. We're not going to find time. If we're just looking for time, we're not going to find it. So you have to make time to do this. So put it on your calendar so that you know it's real. Find a time that you are not tired, stressed, overwhelmed. Maybe again, Sunday mornings, Saturday mornings, Wednesday nights, Friday nights, whatever day, find a money minute throughout your day to go in and check your budget. Right, whatever time is the best time for you, you're in the headspace to be able to do it. That's when you need to do it. Okay, not when you're tired, not when you're annoyed, not when you're frustrated, making sure that you are mindful of when you are scheduling it. Create an experience, okay? Give yourself something that you're looking forward to when you're creating your budget. Also, make sure that you have some sort of incentive, some sort of way that you're treating yourself for getting this work done, especially in the beginning. We need to make sure that we're creating positive experiences with budgets. We're creating incentives for ourselves so that we can stay the course. Those are some really, really helpful things to help you get started on your budgeting journey, because again, your budget is the means to an end. You know the goal because you did the growth framework. You have your goals in mind. You know where you are right now. And the outline part and doing the work is creating a budget and using your money as intentional as possible to get you closer to the life that you want to live. So I hope that this episode was helpful for you all. We're going to have more conversations when it comes to budgeting. We'll talk about the different categories of money management. There's 4 things that you really want your money to be doing. And so we'll get into that in another solo episode. But I wanted to just come in for this one and talk about budgeting. Again, we got to normalize this word. So if every time I said it, like if this was a drinking game, if every time I said the word budget, you have to take a shot, or every time I just said the word budget, you did the heebie-jeebie dance, we're going to continue to say it so that you can normalize that language, because we are generational cycle breakers. Okay, we are wealth builders. This is language that they use in the finance community. So I want us to get comfortable with using this language. Okay, it does not mean that you have to sacrifice everything that you love. It does not mean that you have to deprive yourself of anything. Budgets are a plan that will help you align your finances as a tool to get you to where you want to be. So I'm going to give you some homework down in the show notes, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Until then, keep growing.